Hi, this is Nadim for Online Tennis Instruction. Are you one of the many tennis players who want to improve on their forehand? Do you find yourself that when you're out there that your forehand is not quite as smooth as you want it to be and you can't generate as much power on it? Do you find that it's rather late when you hit the ball and your arm is somewhat tight during contact? If so, I'd like to work with you today because I'm going to point out two specifics on the forehand side that will not only allow you to make your forehand more compact and more applicable to all the different forehands you'll see on the court, but also aid in getting you more power on your stroke. Okay, so what are the two specifics I'm talking about? I'm talking about the unit turn itself and the size of the takeback, or the amount of work your arm does away from the body. Now, what's very important is every shot is supposed to start with a split step, okay? The split step is an athletic stance, two shoulder widths apart with your knees slightly bent, okay? And this is where the disconnect happens. A lot of players either don't do that all together, or when they do, the first motion is either the racket only going to the side, or they take a step to the ball with the racket going to the side already to swing to the forehand. What you want to do instead is, after the split step, you want to make sure that first of all, your elbows are out in front and you have a unit turn that happens with your upper body so that your shoulders are coiled against your hips, okay? Your hips are going to be approximately pointing at the side post right there, and your shoulders are going all the way to the side fence. This is the proper coil, and you've taken out of the equation your upper body movement until contact. From this movement forward, it's all about your legs. Your legs are going to help adjust you to get to the ball and nothing else. Whereas if you start only with your arm, or you start stepping and then moving your arm without having coiled or turned properly, this will happen. What will happen, is that your contact point will be very late, very often, and your hitting arm will be very, very tight. So let me take you to this right with the live ball. I'm gonna self-feed a few, and I'm gonna demonstrate the difference between how it looks like when I do it correctly and how it looks like when it's not properly done. So let's say I split step, the ball comes and I just step and hit. And my shoulders, they haven't really turned at all. And then on the other side, if I split step, I turn, step, and hit, you will see that there's much more fluidity and I can generate effortless power with it. So one more time, the correct way: split step, and then it's the unit turn, step, and hit, instead of just turning, just taking the racket to the side and stepping out to the ball. Okay, so now that we covered the unit turn and the importance of its timing immediately after the split step right here, so before we take any kind of step out wide or utilize our arm independently, we want to make sure we use our unit turn, okay? So what's the second thing? The second thing, and in my opinion, very, very common, unfortunately, is the size of the independent arm movement or the take back on the forehand when you're wanting to hit it. So let's see what that looks like. Let's say I don't use my unit turn. I don't use my unit turn. I'm much more likely to have a way too elaborate take back. But even some players, they do use a unit turn but then have individual arm movement anyways. I want to be able to take that away because a compact motion on your forehand is the key to a successful stroke from a smoothness standpoint, and for you to be able to hit a powerful forehand regardless of where you find yourself on the court. Okay, a good indicator for you to know whether your size takeback is too big is if the entire racket or parts of the racket are visible behind your back. If you're looking at me right here, so you will see, especially when you pay attention to your opponent or your partners, you will see a lot of them playing forehands and the racket is visible behind their backs when you look at them, okay? Instead, what you want to do is, when you utilize your unit turn properly, and that's why these two things go hand in hand, the unit turn properly, it's much easier to keep your hitting arm and everything turned to the side. And a very good pointer for you would be the tip of the racket is pointing to the side fence for as long as possible before you go down and then up to contact, all right? If this tip of the racket is pointing back too early at any time before you go down and up, that's an indicator that you will likely have too large of a take back, which then in turn causes you to have a tight hitting arm and contact because your contact point is not where you want it to be, but it's very much further back. So let me have you take a look at what it looks like when I hit the ball with a take back too big and when I hit a ball that's properly struck. So too big would look something like this. And I can still make it look decent right now because there's not much pace, but imagine the ball comes with some pace, okay? One more time, too big. And now let's make it look good here. Unit turn, tip of the racket pointing to the right side. Pay attention to that before I go into my down and up movement. That's one more time, just because it feels good. Down and up. Okay, and what I want you to pay attention to when you replay this video, hopefully, is the fact that the tip of the racket is staying in this position as I go down, and it does not go behind my back. I'm not involving my wrist prematurely, and I don't have a massive arm movement either. And that is due because if I'm focusing on the split step and the unit turn, which I talked about in the first half of this clip, split step unit turn, now I really focus on going down and come up, so my whole body is involved, giving me that fluidity and that effortless power in the stroke that I'm looking to have. So now that you have a better understanding of what it's like to do it right and wrong when you watch someone like me do this and demonstrate it, how can you go out and work on it? What I utilize, what I really like and enjoy, is the utilization of the fence. Why? Because it puts me in a position where I'm forced to keep my unit turn proper and my take back limited. Okay, so what am I talking about? As you can see, I'm about 2-3 feet in front of the back fence, and if I'm notoriously known for having too big of a take back, I will always make contact with the fence in the wrong way. Okay, so what I want to do is, and again, as you can see, I'm at the fence, so no tennis balls for the beginning. I initiate my split step, so I'm talking about split step, unit turn, that proper coiling that I'm telling you about. And now when I step to the ball and go down, everything is still on the right side of my body. That's the important part. I'm not touching the fence. Okay, now I go down and up. Now, if I was to utilize the split step unit turn, but I have the independent arm movement, without even trying, I'm hitting the back fence easily. And especially if I don't have any unit turn at all, the independent arm movement will cause me to hit the back fence. Hopefully today's lesson will help you improving the tight hitting arm you've been experiencing in that late contact point that you had, by making your take back more compact altogether and by properly using your unit turn.
Nadim is now available for live on-court instruction in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. When you work with Nadim, you get state-of-the-art instruction with instant video feedback right on the court. If you want to take your game to the next level with live on-court instruction, simply click the link inside this video for all the details.